Hello, and welcome to Uconomy. I'm Thomas Fox.
I'm Nunzio Bruno, and this is episode 8.
Right.
First time.
We've been here at eight episodes, and we talk about a lot of different things. And, obviously the economy it's Uconomy, so we talk about the economy.
Right.
And, we see a lot of information all day long, and some things make sense, some things don't make sense. And one of the things that's getting floated around right now, because obviously we're in, arguably, we're in the double dip end of the recession, depending upon who you follow and what's going on. Obviously, jobs aren't coming back as quick as we'd like.
See, I wouldn't even have called it a double dip, but go ahead.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Editorial differences, that's fine.
That's what I'm saying, depending on who you talk to.
Okay.
We're either this thing is never ended, or we're in a double dip, or this is the triple dip, or you go to Friendly's, this is it's a triple scoop. Who knows? But part of the challenge right now that a lot of people are dealing with, they tried bailing out the banks. It really didn't stimulate the way they wanted to. Housing sector has gone through a lot of trouble. The administration's had at least 3 failed housing programs that I can recall off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. And now this new thing that there's, and it's not even the administration floating this around, but it's economists now, and they want this thing called a debt jubilee, which is...
Sounds delicious, by the way.
It sounds fantastic.
Sounds delicious.
If you go to Friendly's, get your triple scoop and a debt jubilee while you're there. But the challenge with this debt jubilee aspect is they're saying that basically the economy has to take a haircut.
Yep.
And people have to accept losses. And really what they're saying is, let's give homeowners and people suffering with credit card debt and student loan debt, let's shave a little bit off the top so we can get people out there spending money again.
Yep. And companies are already doing this, or any company worth its weight in paper, I guess, in balance sheets, are already attributing, they're increasing their bad debt expense margins, actually.
And it's interesting you said there are some people that are for this, and then there are some people against it. But some of the reasons that they're against it, I think, is what I find interesting is the moral aspect. Mm-hmm. How do you just say, all right, well, basically you don't want to reward bad behavior. People that really got involved in mortgages, they want to flip a house, and next thing you know, they're stuck with it.
Yep.
And people that said, hey, I'm just going to charge $80,000 on my credit cards, and I'll just probably go bankrupt anyway. How do you shave a little bit off the top?
Well, it's not going to go on, no action is going to go without consequence. So exactly. A big part of that is, while it might look like more and more is being written off, or this haircut is to trim off a little of that extra fat, the idea is that if you were affected by it, the benefits are, okay, we're going to give you a bit of a reprieve, a bit of a breather. We'll take some of that burden off of you, but it's going to affect your credit. It's going to affect how you can financially live in the world as it's continuing to make its way through this debt jubilee.
Well, even more so. I mean, you look at things like the Tea Party and the new Occupy Wall Street movement.
Yeah,
people want change.
More people.
People are saying that there's an issue in the country, and there really is. But when we make these changes like that, even beyond what you're talking about, what's going to happen to somebody personally, businesses are affected by this as well, because ultimately you're saying to the stockholders, investors, listen, you guys have to take a loss. And obviously, depending on which side of the fence you're on, you're either like, yay, or what?
Right, because nobody wants to see their portfolio dip.
No one. But on the same token, though, when you have 99% of the people who basically participate, who drive 2/3 of our economy through consumer spending, and they just can't move forward, obviously somebody wants to do something.
There's been a lot of news as well regarding what Fed Chair Bernanke wants to do. As far as reaffirming his commitment to keep moving the economy forward and not letting it fall back. There's a mix of, with the Fed, it's monetary policy, but a stimulus. There's been issues around the debt ceiling again, and how we look as, I think the clause I liked was, in the land of the blind, the U.S. stock market is the person with one eye.
But it's true. I mean, we've got these challenges and we got these things, and everybody wants something to be done. But there are consequences to that. So
absolutely.
Even if, just for example, I know we talked a little bit about this offline, but Bank of America, there's been a lot of talk about Bank of America and the new ATM fee, $5 for the month, and people are like, well, wait a minute, this is horrible. And some legislators have come out and said, well, we're going to write legislation to get rid of this $5 fee. The $5 fee came from the Durbin legislation, because the legislation capped what merchants could be charged by credit card companies when you use your card at the store. It's generally 1 to 3% of the purchase above and beyond what the charge is. So, the merchant would have to pay this extra money to them. A lot of money to the banks. Honestly, it costs a couple of cents to run a transaction. So 1 to 3% of the overall purchase price, they will make a lot of money. Probably a lot of money, maybe.
But you get a lot more. It's not just that cost, that those fees are attributed to more than just running the actual logistics of running the transaction. You're paying for security, you're paying for reputation.
No, indeed, you're paying for those things. But I mean, honestly, is it going to if I'm charging something for $100, is it really going to cost $3 for that? What if I'm charging something for $5,000? Is it really going to charge whatever that amount would be? Is that justifiable?
Well, I use Square. I have the little dongle that you attach to either the iPad or the phone.
It's a great word, dongle, by the way.
Thank you. And they charge a few cents per transaction plus about 2.75% in there per transaction. But that's because I use that service because I know their servers are safe. I trust the technology. I trust what they do with that, my client's information, and that it's safe and never housed or resold. So 2% of $2 versus 2% of $100, it really is kind of a sliding scale.
Well, on the same token, though, I mean, they're using established networks like Visa, MasterCard, American Express. Those networks are there, bought and paid for, in a sense. I mean, those infrastructures are there. Yes, they have to be updated by all means, and everybody agrees with that. They have security changes day to day. We hear about, I think TJ Maxx was it last year that lost a bunch of data.
Even video game, PlayStation, they lost
their whole
millions of credit accounts.
But I mean, again, that cap that they put on there, that said that you can only charge, I think it's 21 cents or something now is what you can charge. That's what prompted Bank of America to say, you know what, that's all we can really charge. Well, we have to find another way to make that up because our stockholders are looking at, we made revenue projections based on our past performance.
Right.
And now you're taking a couple of $1 billion off the table. What do I got to do? Am I going to eat it? Not really.
No.
I'm going to make a new fee and I'm going to pass that along to somebody. That somebody is us. So we have these challenges, and every time we try to force somebody to do something, they do it in a sense, but then they go, okay, great, now I'm going to do this. That's why free checking accounts have been going away and things like that as well. As credit got repriced, and now with everything with the Credit Card Act and how that filtered into how banks have to price their portfolios. And then even the larger issue too is if we just shave the debt off, that really compromises our ability on the credit system in our country too, because that has to be reliable in a sense.
Oh yeah, it puts a huge burden on that.
Yeah, so it's not as simple as, and again, listen, I got student loan debt that terrifies me, but I have to look at it both ways. Although I would really like the reprieve, how much of a cost is it going to be to the business structure of the country down the road? And for one person, not a lot maybe, but when you talk about the entire population, you look at student loan debt and everything out there, it's tough, and it can have a very big impact. And it impacts businesses, obviously supply and demand. Businesses are going to be making less money in a sense, and they're going to say, well, wait a minute, the same thing we have right now. Well, I'm not going to hire.
There is a bright spot in the economy amongst all of this, cloudy economic data. Last month in August, a company called PayNet that does studies on lending and borrowing for small businesses registered that it had one of its small businesses had one of their biggest months in a long time as far as creation, borrowing, and structure setup.
Businesses are mounting a comeback, but they're trying to do it in a very smart way. And they're even this debt jubilee, it's great on paper, I think it is, but there are some things that you can actually hold your own kind of debt jubilee. You can try to do a little bit of this shave off the top yourself by reaching out to your lenders, or even just some good tips. And I know you had a really nice one that you were talking about in relation to home ownership.
Okay, so at the end of this conversation, what we hope that you can pull out of it is to take action. So if you're a homeowner or you're dealing with excise taxes, get that recent value of your property. If you can, I have to sneeze now.
Jeez, guys. Welcome to the 45-minute episode.
Okay. And go. I know, my eyes are tearing up though. Okay.
It's okay, Dignation's ending, not Uconomy.
I know, Dignation's ending. Makes me sad. I love Revision 3. Not that I don't love the business channel.
Revision 3's... Revision 3's all done?
No, just Dignation, the show.
Please.
Oh, okay. So, tips that we would like for you guys to take away.
Yeah, just might as well just...
Oh, wow. I don't even remember what I said.
All right.
So all of this conversation is really great. It's great for us to kind of hash out what's going on in the economy. But for the things that we'd like for you guys to take away from it are a few tips to kind of not create your own debt jubilee. I don't even like to say that because it sounds like I'm getting a Rachel Ray recipe.
Friendly's is going bankrupt. They're probably going to get a special on
No,
the debt
Friendly's is
jubilees.
not going bankrupt.
They
And
just went bankrupt.
they're not going bankrupt. High five.
That's right.
High five deals. If you're a homeowner or you're dealing with excise taxes that are getting to be too burdensome, check the value of your property. There have been cases where people have been getting appraisals redone, calling your city solicitor and literally demanding a lower excise tax.
Yeah, I mean, if the value, the taxes are based on the value of the house. The value of the house, which I think it's last count, 60% of homes in the country, maybe even more, are underwater.
Mm-hmm.
So if you owe less on the home than it's worth, it's not a great situation to begin with, but take that negative and turn it into a positive. Why not get your taxes reduced, if you can? Also call your, we've told people in the past to call their electric company and cable company, but reach out to your bank now. Reach out to your credit card company. Lending is coming back a little bit. And when you're starting to face these $5 fees like Bank of America, say, hey, listen, I've been here 20 years as a customer. Right? A lot of people I'm one of those people. I get into a bank and I'm pretty much there for life. Have that conversation. Maybe there's an offering they can do to put you in something you're going to be able to, basically bypass these fees.
Yeah.
You don't know. Or maybe it's a time to, if your financial, I know my financial life has changed over the last 10 years. Maybe I could shift my accounts around to maybe even work better for me. So again, it could be a negative into this positive. You call up because you say, hey, this $5 fee is crazy, but what if you find out that you could restructure your money? I was hearing something today. And please forgive me I forget the name of the local bank, but the local bank is offering an interest-bearing checking account that's paying 2.9%. You never know. I mean, these are new products. Banks are fighting for business, and especially local banks now and credit unions with all these changes going on, with Wells Fargo charging fees and Bank of America. They're eager to get business, and they're very, very good places where you can do banking, especially a credit union where you're not really a client, you're a member.
Yep.
So it's, reach out, look at your banking again, reassess your needs, and if they're not being met, there's nothing wrong with switching banks.
The last thing is pay attention to the news. Over the next month or two, there's going to be, I know there's a lot with this Jobs Act and, Occupy Wall Street. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of, filler in there. But as consumers, we have to pay attention to, especially with stuff like Bank of America charging rates, what institutions are going to try to nickel and dime us along the way, and what protections we can take for ourselves.
Yeah, and indeed, these are projections going beyond calling your senator and representatives. Again, that's all well and good, but this is situations like this, and this is kind of the gist of the program overall. This is how the fair market is supposed to work. If you don't like something, you go somewhere else.
Go somewhere else.
If you don't like a $5 Bank of America fee, you go somewhere else. So what's going to happen? Bank of America is going to lose customers, and eventually they may say, this was a very bad idea. But you can choose that. You don't need a legislator or even the administration to come down and say, well, this is bad. You, as the consumer, you have the loudest voice. And sometimes we need to use that voice and use your outside voice, not your inside voice.
No, definitely not your Uconomy voice.
Yeah,
I feel like we're whispering.
We're whispering sometimes. There's like a little echo in here.
All right.
Well, listen. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you episode 9. Well,
Yep.
We'll do.
Sorry for all the jump cuts in advance.
There's
Most
gonna
of it
be
was
some-
my fault. If you guys get a little nauseous.